Let me tell you a secret. The biggest economic shift happening right now is not happening loudly. There are no breaking news alerts, no countdown clocks, no dramatic speeches. It's happening quietly, so quietly that most people won't notice it until it's already finished. Right now, somewhere in the world, factories are being packed up, machines are being unplugged, shipping routes are being redrawn, not because of a war, not because of a crisis, but because the math changed. And when the math changes, the world moves. For the last 30 years, there was one place that made almost everything you touched. Your phone, your shoes, your furniture, your toys. That place was China. China wasn't just a country. It was a machine. A giant machine that turned raw materials into finished products for the entire planet. If something was cheap, probably came from China. If it was mass-produced, it almost definitely did. Companies didn't even ask where to manufacture. The answer was automatic. China. But machines were down. Not because they stopped working, but because they become expensive to run. Workers wanted higher pay. Cities became crowded. Rules became stricter. Politics became complicated. Making things in China still worked, but it didn't work the same way. Costs went up. And companies hate one thing more than anything else: uncertainty. So executives started asking quiet questions in quiet rooms. What if tariffs get worse? What if shipping gets disrupted? What if politics gets in the way of profit? And slowly, carefully, they started looking for a second option. Not to replace China. First, just to back it up. They made a simple checklist: cheap labor, stable government, fast ports, friendly trade deals, close to existing supply chains. And one country kept checking every box: Vietnam. Vietnam didn't announce itself. It didn't market itself loudly. It just waited. For decades, Vietnam invested in boring things: roads, ports, industrial parks, education, the kind of things that don't go viral, but quietly compound. While headlines focused elsewhere, Vietnam was preparing. When companies tested small factories there, they worked. When they expanded, they worked again. Workers learned fast. Paperwork moved quickly. Costs stayed predictable. And predictability is gold. Then something accelerated everything: trade tensions. Suddenly, making everything in one country felt dangerous. Tariffs meant higher prices. Higher prices meant fewer customers. Fewer customers meant lower profits. So companies did what they always do. They moved. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Piece by piece. Nike shifted production. Samsung expanded plants. Furniture makers followed. Electronics followed. Vietnam didn't just receive low-value work. It received the good work. Phones, components, high-margin exports. Factories grew taller. Ports grew busier. Cities expanded. Exports surged. And here's the important part. Vietnam didn't try to stay cheap forever, because staying cheap is a trap. Countries that only compete on low wages eventually lose. Vietnam chose a different path. It began saying no to the dirtiest factories. Yes. To cleaner ones. Yes. To higher skill work. Yes. To technology. Training programs expanded. Local suppliers emerged. The supply chain thickened. Instead of just assembling products, Vietnam started making parts. Instead of just following instructions, it started improving processes. This is how countries move up. Quietly. Now, this doesn't mean China is finished. China is still massive, still powerful, still essential. But its role is changing. China is becoming complex, expensive, high-end. Vietnam is becoming the place where companies go when they want things done simply, efficiently, reliably. And this shift matters because factories don't just make products. They make jobs. They make cities. They make middle classes. When factories move, wealth moves with them. Right now, Vietnam's population is young. Its workforce is growing. Its export numbers keep climbing. And other countries are watching closely. India, Indonesia, Mexico. They see the same pattern. Because this isn't really a story about Vietnam. It's a story about how the world actually changes. Not through headlines, not through arguments, but through spreadsheets, shipping costs, labor availability. Big changes whisper first. They only scream after it's too late to react. By the time everyone agrees that something important happened, the opportunity is gone. Vietnam didn't wake up one day as the world's next factory, prepared quietly for years. And right now, somewhere else in the world, another country is doing the same thing. Building, training, waiting. The biggest economic shifts never ask for attention. They just happen. And by the time you notice them, they're already shaping your future.